In this tutorial, we are going to learn how you can feed Zumper leads or Padhopper leads into your AgentLocator CRM system. Now, this tutorial is just specifically going over Zumper, but it'll be the same rules essentially if you are doing the Padhopper as well. So first thing you're going to do is log into Zapier.com. If you haven't already created an account, you're going to need to create an account. Now, we can do this definitely with a free account. Really depends on how many Zaps you intend on creating, but with a free plan, you tend to have 5 Zaps that you can create and use as long as they're single step Zaps. As soon as you start to do like multi-level Zaps, that's when you're going to have to jump up, but in this scenario, we are only doing single step Zaps. So first thing is you're going to log into Zapier. The second thing that you're going to do is go to parser.zapier.com, and you are going to log in via Zapier, okay? So it's just going to connect your Zapier account to this, and you're going to get started. Now, from here, what you're going to do is you are going to create a mailbox. So when you create a mailbox, it's going to give you a unique Zapier parsing email. So you are actually going to copy this email without the exclamation mark. I'm not sure why they put that there because it's a little confusing, I'm sure, for some, but you're not going to include that exclamation mark. So you're going to save this email because you're going to then go into your Google or your everyday email account, and you're going to have to add a forwarding address. So once you're in your Google account, you can then click on settings and go to settings. Now again, other, Outlook, what have you, I imagine have similar settings like this. But we are going to go to the forwarding section, and you're going to add a forwarding address. So you're going to put that address in here that you copied and go next. You will get an email sent to your inbox with a code. So you'll need to put the code in here to basically authenticate that, yes, I want to add this as a forwarding address. So that's the first part in Google. You're then going to go and you're going to locate one of those listings. This is just, a Zumper email just as example. But once you open up one of those emails that you've received from Zumper or Padhopper with respect to an inquiry, you're going to go up to these little 3 dots on the right-hand side, and you're going to click on filter messages like this. Now, we're going to have it the from. So typically when Zumper is sending you something, it should be coming from a Zumper email address when you're getting those notifications. But one thing to note is you are going to be creating 2 mailboxes on the Zapier parser. One is going to be for just the general inquiries that come in with respect to your listings, and the other is going to be for any kind of showing requests because those emails come in different formatting. So we have to have 2 different scenarios so that the information from those emails is pulled correctly. So in this case, you would have, they're likely coming from the same email address to you. So you can leave that as is, but you're going to want to either have the subject, because the subject is going to differ depending on what kind of inquiry that is. So you can have it as a subject, or if there's a specific line or quote within that email that would be able to differentiate that email. So once you've got that all set up, you're just going to click on Create Filter. And then you're going to go select this box where you're forwarding it to, choose that unique Zapier email that you created, and then you go Create Filter. So that set part is all done. So now the forwarding is in place. Your next step is going to be to go onto your listing, so one of your listings on Zumper, and you need to just create a lead. So a general inquiry with respect to one of your listings, or if you're doing a showing request, whichever one you're working on first, you're going to go in and create a lead, a dummy lead on that. That way, that email gets pulled into your parsing email, okay? So we need an email in here in order to be able to pull that information. Now, for some of you, you may have multiple inboxes in here. Some of you may only have one, so it'll make it, easier. So when you go to look at an email, you can go View Emails, and sometimes you'll have a list. Sometimes you'll just have the one email in here. Now, you may see something like this where we don't have any data. What you're going to do is just click on original. When you click on original, it's going to pull that original email and all the content that's in there, and all you're going to do is click on edit extra template. You may or may not need to go through these additional steps. It just depends on if you've already had an email in that inbox or not already. So here now we need to just create the rules. What information from this email do we want to parse out? So when it comes to the name, you can just highlight. So you're going to highlight, in this case, one place in this email where you can see the lead's first and last name. So you would actually call this full name. So you just type it in the box here and call it full name. You're then going to go through that with other information such as an email. So with the email, you're going to find where the email address is indicated on here, highlight that, and name that section email, and save it. You're going to do the same for the phone number. I like to use the one without the dashes, just our system prefers that, especially for when you're doing any kind of texting and things like that. So we're going to just call this phone. And then you're going to essentially do any kind of notes. So basically, for example, this would indicate to us that this is a showing request, right? If they're available for a tour at these times. So you may want to highlight that and type that in as notes, and then save that. So once you've gone through and you've created those specific rules, you're just going to save that template. And from here, this part is done. And you're ready to actually go into Zapier and start building out your Zap, because now we've got an inbox, we've got the information we want to parse out. So what you're going to do is you are going to go into, currently I have, there we go. We're going to go into your Zapier and you're going to click on Create a Zap. Now, the first thing that we want to do is pull the information from that parsing email. So there is the email by parser by Zapier. That's that parser.zapier that you just created an account on. You can also, if it's not showing in the list, just start typing parse and then you select it. You will be selecting a new email in this sense, and then continue. Now you're just going to select your parsing account on Zapier. Most of you will only have one. Sometimes an indication is how many Zaps are used. In this case, I know this one's been used already in two Zaps. So then we're going to go continue. You're then going to choose the mailbox. So again, it's recognizing which mailbox you used for which purpose in your parsing account. So if you have more than one, you're just going to make sure you select the correct one. And if you only have one, then obviously you're selecting that one. Once you've done that, you're going to select continue. Now it's going to try to find data. So what it's going to try to do is find an email that we can pull that information from. So in this case, this is the Zumper lead email, so that's great. Now, for some of you, if you did your forwarding rules differently, a forwarding email with respect to confirmation may have already been sent to that inbox, and so you may actually be seeing the confirmation email right here. If that's the case, and only if that's the case, really all you have to do is see if there's any other email options to choose from. If there isn't, you can try loading more and to see if there is more. If that still isn't working, you're going to have to go back onto your Zumper listing, create another dummy lead, go back into here, and then again load more. Try to pull more information until you get the selected email that is pulling the proper information. Now, once that information is pulled, so we can see it here, we are just simply going to go continue. We now have the appropriate email that we're pulling the information from, and now we need to tell Zapier, where are we sending this information to? So in this case, we are going to be using the email by Zapier. So you're going to either start typing email by Zapier or just it'll be in your list, you select it. We're going to be sending an outbound email. Now, in this section, we have the to section. This to section is going to be your unique parsing email within your Agent Locator system. So if you're uncertain where to find that, you're just simply going to go up into your CRM, into your user preferences, And then when you're on this main page with your profile, if you scroll right down, you're going to see that you have this feed email. This is the parsing email. This is what you want to copy and put into the queue, because we want to send the leads to your CRM system. Now, the subject can be whatever you want it to be. So you can go, new Zumper lead. It could be whatever you want to call it, really, in that sense. Now, for the body, we need to then tell the system what information are we pulling to send to this email. So again, we created those unique parsing rules in here, right? So now in Zapier, we just need to put that in here. So we're going to go full name. We're going to type it out with a colon and a space after the colon. Then in the options, you're going to look for your full name. So often enough, it'll have the parser output full name. So we're going to choose Agent Locator in this case. And then we're going to go, phone. And we're going to do the same thing. It's safer to choose the one that you've parsed out. But if you don't see that, you only see another option, then for example, for email, if you only seen the sender name or the sender email, for example, you could always use that. But if you have the information parsed, use that instead. So we'll carry through with the email, a space, and there is one somewhere where I parsed out that email. Where did it go? And it might not be. Oh, this is a showing request. This might be a little bit different. But you will see a parsed email option, and you would select that specific email for the individual. And this email isn't showing it for whatever reason in here. So I'm just going to, it's right here. So this is the parse output email. This was different because it gives you that unique Zumper email for privacy reasons when somebody's generally inquiring about a property, right? It doesn't give you their actual email address. It only gives you their actual email address if they're booking a showing. So you have your full name, your phone, your email, and then we are going to put the notes section in. So this again is if you highlighted anything that you wanted to be as part of the notes. So this right here is the parse output notes. You can also pull additional information that you may want. So for example, if it was the payload, sometimes it says you have whatever interested in this listing, So you can have it actually pull additional fields if you want to. And then you have the source. So again, a space, you're actually just going to type what the source is. So in this case, I'm going to use Zumper. This then, when the lead feeds into your CRM system, it's going to have the source already indicated as being Zumper. So you are able to differentiate lead from lead. Now, all the way at the bottom, you just want to make sure that you are going to set this to true. Okay, so we set this to true, and then we go continue. Now, here's the outbound email, that kind of thing. It's pulling this information. You can see the information that we're essentially going to be pulling and pushing. All you need to do at this point is test and continue. Once you test if it's successful, which it should be, that lead should enter into your CRM system. So if that's the case, and even if it's not, what you're going to do is you're going to turn on your Zap. So just make sure you turn on your Zap. I would give it a name so you know that this is a Zumper general inquiry or a Zumper showing request, just so you're able to differentiate the two. And then regardless if it worked or not the first time, what I suggest you doing is, now that your Zap is on, is going back onto one of your Zumper listings and create another dummy lead. Now, when you're creating another dummy lead, what you want to make sure is that you use a different email address. So some alternate email address, because the system is going to recognize leads based on email address. So if you don't have an alternate email address that you can use, if there's already a lead existing in here with that email address, just open up that lead, edit the email, take out the .ca, for example, then that new lead will feed in as a new lead because that email doesn't technically exist anymore. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So there you have it. That's exactly how you would set up your Zap to feed Zumper Padhopper leads into your Agent Locator CRM system. Again, if you have, these are just general inquiries, and then you have the showing requests. So those are two different Zaps that would need to be created because, again, those emails come in differently. So you just kind of run through the steps again, one through regular one through showing requests, and similar to anything on Padhopper, it'll be quite similar to that as well. Should you require any assistance with respect to creating these Zaps, please contact support@agentlocator.ca.